So under statement of cash flow, we have three main activities, which are operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. So in this particular video, we are only looking at operating activities. Okay. So under operating activities, we record all the cash receipts and cash payments, okay, that are related to the main function of the business. Okay, so under operating activities, we have inflows and we have outflows as well. So we start off with the inflows. Okay, so number one, receipts from customers. Can you see the star over here? I purposely put a star over here so that this is to remind you that in every operating activity section, there must be a receipts from customers. Okay, and under receipts from customers, okay, we have cash sales or cash that we have received for our service. And sometimes we have made some credit sales. Okay, when we make some credit sales, we must remember to collect the money from our debtors. So when we collect the money from our debtors, all the money that we have collected is also considered as receipts from customers. Okay, and lastly, receipts from other income. For example, let's say I receive some cash from rental income. Okay, so the cash that I receive from rental income is also considered as receipts from customers. Okay, so next will be interest received and dividend received. Interest received and dividend received can be classified as operating activities, and they also can be classified as investing activities. Okay, so for interest received and dividends received, if the question didn't mention anything, you can put them in operating activities or you can put them in investing activities. Okay, however, if the question did mention that interest received and dividend received is considered as day-to-day activities, if the question mentioned that these two are considered as day-to-day activities, it has to be in operating activities. So next will be the cash outflow for operating activities. So first of all, we have payment to suppliers and employees. Can you see a star over here? If I put a star over here, means that this particular item here is a must for operating activities. That means in the operating activity section, there must be a payment to suppliers and employees. Okay, so payments to suppliers and employees consists of number one, payments to inventory supplier. Okay, for example, if I buy inventory by cash, okay, for example, cash purchase, the amount of money that I paid to my supplier, I need to record it in payment to suppliers and employees. Next will be cash paid to creditors. Okay, let's say if I buy my inventory on credit and then I pay my creditor later, the amount of money that I paid to my creditor is considered as payments to suppliers of inventory as well. Okay, next will be the payments to suppliers of services used. Okay, which we will look at SOCI, other expenses part. Okay, we will look at what are the services that we have used throughout that year. Okay, sometimes we have paid some cash for electricity, we have paid some money for rental, we have paid some money for insurance and etc. Okay, all the amount, okay, all the cash that we have paid for the services that we have used, we have to record it under payments to suppliers and employees as well. Okay, next will be payments made to employees. For example, payments made to employees such as wages and salaries. If we pay employees salaries, okay, there is a cash outflow there. Okay, there is a cash outflow due to payment of wages and salaries. So we need to record it down in payments to suppliers and employees as well. Okay, so under payment to suppliers and employees, you must remember that you need to include all of these items. And lastly, income tax paid. If you notice that I put a star beside income tax paid, which means this is a must in under operating section. That means under operating section, you cannot miss this out. Okay, income tax paid have to be in operating section. Okay, so income tax paid is the amount of money that you have paid during that year for income tax. Okay, normally is equals to the balance brought down of your income tax payable for that particular year. Okay, but you have to read the question properly and see whether it's correct or not. Okay, now we are going to summarize everything that you have learned just now. Okay, so under cash flow from operating activities, there are a few things that you must have in your cash flow from operating activities. Number one is receipts from customers. Number two is payments to suppliers and employees. Number 3 is income tax paid. These 3 items are compulsory. Okay, that means in every cash flow from operating activities, you must have these 3 items. Okay, so receipts from customers minus off your payments to suppliers and employees, you will get cash generated from operations. Remember to write this amount down. Okay, you need to write cash generated from operations. Okay, and then minus off your income tax paid, and then minus off the interest paid. Okay, and interest paid can either be in financing or operating. It depends on the question. If the question asks you to treat interest paid as a financing activities, you need to put it in your financing activities. Okay, if the question didn't mention anything, you can either put it in financing or operating. Okay, next will be interest received. Okay, interest received can be in either investing activity or operating activity. Okay, it depends on the question again. Okay, and then you have dividends paid. Okay, dividends paid can either be in financing activities or operating activities. And lastly, we have dividend received. Okay, it can be either it can either be an investing activities or operating activity. Okay, so it all depends on the question. Okay, read the question carefully and see whether they mention they tell you where to put all these items. Okay, so there are 5 things that you need to disclose separately. Okay, just now I did mention that income tax paid, interest paid, interest received, dividend paid, and dividend received has to be disclosed separately, which means that you cannot put your interest paid into payments to suppliers and employees. No, you can't do that. Okay, you have to disclose it separately. Okay, so once you have your cash generated from operations minus your income tax paid minus your interest paid, add your interest received, okay, minus dividend paid plus dividend received, you will get your net cash flow from operating activities. Okay.